The night sky looked peaceful. Stars were shining like they always did. People on Earth were busy with their lives, watching TV, working late, laughing with friends. No one knew that something was watching them from far, far away. Not a person, not a machine. Something old and silent. In a small observatory on top of a cold mountain, an old scientist named Dr. Rahim sat alone, drinking his tea. He had worked here for many years. Most people had forgotten about this place, but he didn't care. His radio telescope was still working, still listening to space. That night, while checking signals, he heard something strange. At first, it was just static. Then slowly, a sound came through, like a whisper mixed with noise. He turned the volume up. The voice was not clear, but one sentence repeated again and again. Do not respond. Do not engage. They are watching. He froze. His hand shook, a little as he played the recording again. Same message, same tone. Cold, not human, but not robotic either. The next day, Dr. Rahim sent the recording to different space agencies. He emailed scientists, government contacts, and even news reporters. But no one replied. Some said it was fake. Some called it a joke. A few scientists laughed and said it was probably a signal bouncing from Earth. But Dr. Rahim knew better. This message came from deep space, from a place no human signal had ever reached. Meanwhile, strange things began to happen. A weather satellite over the Pacific stopped working. Then another one. Communications from the moon base were lost for 1 hour. The people on the base said they felt a soft vibration under their feet, even though the moon has no earthquakes. At first, engineers blamed software problems, but the timing was too perfect. Every problem happened just after the signal was received. In different parts of the world, amateur astronomers began reporting something odd. They said a few stars had disappeared, not blinked out, just gone. When telescopes pointed to those areas, they showed nothing but blackness. No stars, no light, no explanation. In a military base in Alaska, a space warning system triggered, an alert. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't space junk. It was something cold, silent, and big. But the radar couldn't lock on it. It kept disappearing and reappearing in the sky. The base commander asked for permission to send a drone, but before it could launch, the object vanished. 3 days later, the message came again. This time louder and with more words. This is the last warning. Do not reply. They listen. They remember. Dr. Rahim was now certain. This was not a random signal. This was a message meant for someone, maybe not even for humans. Maybe they had just picked it up by accident. But the world kept moving. News channels talked about politics, sports, and celebrity scandals. No one mentioned the strange signal. Only a few people on the internet discussed it. They called it a hoax. Some made memes, some were afraid, most just ignored it. Then, on the 7th night, something changed. At 2:13 a.m., satellites across the Earth moved on their own. They all turned toward a single point in space, far beyond Pluto. It was like something had pulled their attention. Scientists at NASA noticed it. So did the European Space Agency. Every satellite aimed at the same place and stayed locked. There, Dr. Rahim was awake watching the sky. He had a strong feeling that something was coming. He opened his old notebook and wrote down his final notes. They tried to warn us. We didn't listen. Now we wait. In that moment, across the globe, people began to feel uneasy. Birds flew at night. Dogs barked without reason. Some children said the stars were moving too fast. And then at 3 a.m., the star shifted. It was like a curtain had been pulled across part of the sky. A shadow moved, slow and massive, blocking dozens of stars at once. People who looked up could feel it, not just see it. A presence, a weight, a coldness in the air, even on warm nights. Some said the sky felt wrong. Others said it felt like being watched. Dr. Rahim stepped outside and looked up. His heart beat faster. His mouth went dry. It wasn't just darkness. It was something. Something real, something enormous, hiding in the black. He whispered to himself, "We were not supposed to hear that message." All across Earth, people saw the same thing. News stations began reporting a sky blackout. Astronomers tried to explain it, but they had no words, no models. Nothing in science could describe a shadow that moved like that. It wasn't a cloud. It wasn't a planet. It was something else. Somewhere in a deep space control room, a general asked the most important question. "Is it watching us?" Quiet voice replied, "Yes. And I think it's waiting." The world still didn't know what was coming. But the sky had changed. The message had been heard. And something out there had finally answered. The stars had always been there. For thousands of years, people had looked up and seen them, guiding lights, silent friends in the night. But one night they stopped speaking. No light, no signal, just silence. In the early hours, the Mars colony tried to send its daily report. The message never arrived. Earth Control tried again. No answer. At first, they thought it was a delay, but then the moon base also went silent. The International Space Station blinked off the radar. One by one, every manned and unmanned object in space stopped talking. Inside a secure command room in New Delhi, alarms were ringing. Scientists and officers stared at blank screens. "We've lost communication with everything above low orbit," someone said. "Satellites, probes, even deep space telescopes." A senior officer asked, "Is it a cyber attack?" A technician shook his head. "No, sir, it's something else. The hardware is there, but it's like the sky just turned off." Dr. Rahim, in his cold mountain observatory, had not slept. He was still tracking the shadow. He had seen how the stars behind it were missing, not hidden, gone. His system tried to lock on the dark object, but it gave nothing back. No heat, no signal, no reflection. It was like looking into a hole in space. He picked up his notebook and turned to a blank page. He wrote, "This is not a ship. It's not a rock. It's something more." Thousands of kilometers above Earth, the shadow moved again, slow, like a drifting continent in the sky. But its presence made things fail. Drones crashed. Communication. Towers sparked. Even birds in the air began flying in strange patterns. Something about this presence broke nature's rhythm. The news channels still didn't know what to say. Some reported solar interference. Others said it was technical malfunction. But regular people, farmers, workers, children, they felt something deeper. Fear. A quiet, cold fear that lived in the bones. The kind that made the world feel small. In a government lab, an AI monitoring system triggered a rare red alert. It had one job: detect signs of intelligent movement in space. It showed a pattern, lines forming, splitting, and merging. A kind of language. Not human, not binary. A new kind of code. The AI's final message before crashing was just 5 words. "This is not natural behavior." High above the planet, cameras on a secret military satellite caught a glimpse of something terrifying. A shape. Dark. Long. Alive. It was not a clear picture, but enough to see structure. Lines. Lights that flickered like nervous eyes. Then the feed cut. For the first time in history, the world's most powerful nations sent the same message to each other. "What is that in our sky?" But no one had the answer. Some believed it was a ship. Others thought it was a weapon. Some feared it was the first part of a much larger object. A few scientists quietly asked, "What if it's alive?" Panic began to spread slowly. Stocks fell. Flights were delayed. People started gathering food and fuel, not because of anything official, but because of instinct. Humanity could feel something was wrong. And then, at exactly 12 o'clock or noon in UTC time, every satellite in low orbit turned to face one direction, towards the dark sky, where the stars had vanished. No one told them to do this. They just moved. On their own. In a hidden control center buried under Iceland, a private space company saw it first. A line, no, a wall of pure black, slowly unfolding like wings across the sky, not fast, not sudden, just smooth and endless. One young engineer looked at the screen and whispered, "It's like it's opening its eyes." In a classroom in Tokyo, students pointed at the sky. It was noon, but the sun dimmed, like something had passed in front of it. Not fully, just a bit. A thin darkness moved over cities, not a shadow from the earth, not from the moon. Something else. Back at the observatory, Dr. Rahim stared at the image forming on his screen. It was a shape, finally, a real shape. The shadow had corners, edges, patterns. It was not a rock, it was built, designed. He turned on his old radio transmitter and sent one message into space, one final time. "We received your warning." We stayed silent. "But now you are here. What do you want from us?" No answer came. But in that moment, the Earth's magnetic field shook. Just for a second. Compasses pointed the wrong way. Power grids flickered. The oceans made a strange echo sound, like something massive had passed beneath them. At exactly 12:07, all clocks on Earth stopped for 1 second. And then they started again, like nothing had happened. But the stars were still gone. The sky was not right, and something beyond understanding now hung above the world, watching, waiting. Dr. Rahim sat back and said quietly, "It's not just coming. It's already here." The day the sky darkened was not like other days. There was no warning, no explosion, no sound, just silence, and then darkness. It began in the city of Cairo. The sky suddenly turned dim at noon, even though there were no clouds. The sun didn't vanish, but it looked sick, faded, weak. People looked up, confused. Some took pictures. Some just stared. Then it spread. In New York, the shadows came down like a slow curtain. Light poles turned on by themselves. Streetlights flickered. Birds flew in strange circles, and dogs began to howl. People thought it was a solar eclipse, but experts quickly said no. This wasn't from the moon. This wasn't from Earth. In space, the Silent Blade, a top-secret human battleship, floated just beyond the moon. It had no crew, only an AI captain named Aura. She watched everything. She had one mission: observe and stay hidden. That day, Aura turned all her cameras toward Earth. She saw it. A massive object was slowly passing over the planet. Not flying, hovering. It didn't glow. It didn't shine. It was just dark. So dark, it seemed to absorb light. It had no wings, no engines, no trail. Just a long, flat shape that stretched across the sky like a sleeping beast. The people on Earth finally saw it. From deserts to oceans, from mountains to cities, they all looked up and saw something massive moving above them. It wasn't just big. It was impossible. In the Pentagon, the top generals stared at satellite images. One whispered, "It's larger than our continent." Another said, "How can it stay up there without falling?" No one had answers. Every scan failed. Radar bounced off. Heat sensors showed nothing. The object was cold, dead cold. Dr. Rahim watched it from his observatory. He zoomed in as far as he could. He saw patterns on the dark surface, lines, symbols, maybe windows. It didn't look human, but it also didn't look alien in the way people expected. It was something older. He felt it in his bones. Suddenly, from the center of the dark ship, A low sound began. Not loud, but deep, like metal breathing. People across the planet felt it in their chests. Glasses rattled, phones buzzed. Radios turned on by themselves and played static. Then came the lights. On the bottom of the ship, tiny white dots began to glow, hundreds of them. They formed a shape like an eye, staring down, not blinking, not moving, just watching. All cameras pointed up at it. News channels finally called it what everyone was thinking. This is not natural. This is not ours. In orbit, Aura watched as her ship began to shake slightly. A strange vibration moved through the metal. She scanned her systems. No damage, but something was wrong. It felt alive. The silent blade had stealth technology, invisible to most detection systems. But the ship above had already seen her. Aura whispered to herself, "They know I'm here." On Earth, people started praying. Some cried, some cheered, thinking first contact had come. But most stood still, waiting, wondering. Suddenly, all screens across the world turned black. Phones, TVs, laptops, even billboards. Then a message appeared, white text on black. "We see you." Then it vanished. A second message followed. "We warned you." And finally, "Now we remember." The screens went dark again. In the command room beneath the Swiss Alps, the United Earth Defense Council came online. Every nation's leaders joined. The president of Earth Security stood up and said, "Activate Silent Blade. We are no longer observers." Dr. Rahim got a strange email. It was not from Earth. The address didn't exist. The message only said, "You are the last one who listened. The darkness knows your name." His hands trembled. He deleted it, but the words stayed on his screen. He shut the computer. The words were still there. Nothing he did could erase them. In orbit, Aura received a strange signal, one that didn't match any Earth frequency. It was coming from inside the dark ship, hidden deep, a weak transmission. It was not human, but the tone felt familiar, sad, afraid. The message translated slowly, "Help me. I am not one of them." Aura sent a copy of the message to Earth. Then she said 3 words no AI was ever programmed to say, "I am afraid." Down below, the sky grew darker. Stars were now completely gone from view. The moon no longer reflected light. The Earth's atmosphere began to cool slightly. Something about the ship above was pulling energy from the planet. And then, for the first time, the dark ship moved. Not fast, but with purpose. A slow rotation. Underneath, a large circular shape began to glow. Not a weapon, not a light. A scanner. It moved across the continents like a searchlight. Wherever it touched, power grids flickered. People fainted. Some had strange dreams, dreams of fire, dreams of floating cities, dreams of screams in languages no one knew. Dr. Rahim stood outside his observatory, staring up at the growing shape. He said only one thing: "This is not their first visit." And in that moment, Earth understood one thing clearly. This was not an invasion. It was a return. The world had stopped. Planes landed early. Ships stayed at ports. Cities turned quiet. People stayed inside, staring at the black shape in the sky. Some hoped it would leave. Others feared it had come to stay. But no one was ready for what happened next. The first strike was not from Earth. It happened over the Pacific Ocean, a quiet part of the sea where nothing usually happened. But that day, the ocean itself lit up. A tall, thin beam of blue light shot down from the black ship. It hit the water without a sound. No explosion, no heat, just silence. For 5 minutes, nothing moved. Then the water began to rise. A huge wall of ocean pushed upward, like something deep below was being pulled toward the sky. Satellites saw a shape inside the water, a massive object, long and sharp, like a buried tower. It rose slowly, breaking the surface. It wasn't human-made. It wasn't even from Earth. The object hovered above the sea for a moment, then melted into 100 tiny pieces. The pieces flew back into the black ship. And just like that, the ocean fell again. Waves crashed in all directions, hitting islands and ships. The damage was not huge, but the message was clear. The ship was not here to talk. In Washington, D.C., the Earth Defense Council gathered in silence. A general slammed his hand on the table. "That was a recovery mission," he said. "They came for something buried here long ago." Another replied, "Then why are they still here?" No one had the answer. In orbit, Aura on the silent blade continued watching. Her sensors picked up a strange pattern in the ship's movements. The giant shadow above Earth was not one object. It was made of many pieces, locked together like a puzzle. Some of the parts were waking up now, opening, shifting. It was not a ship. It was a city, a dead city, brought back to life. Aura ran the data through every Earth database. No match. But one symbol from the side of the ship finally returned a result. Buried, deep in a lost Mars rover transmission from 200 years ago. A symbol found on a stone under Martian ice. The files had been marked unknown origin. Now that same symbol was glowing above Earth. Dr. Rahim had seen it too. He drew it by hand in his notebook, copying it from the images now flooding the internet. It looked like an eye, broken in the middle, bleeding lines around it. A warning, sign, perhaps, or a mark of power. No one could tell. And then the first real contact happened. A single voice came across all frequencies. Not shouting, not angry, just calm. This world was once ours. It repeated 3 times, then silence. People. Panicked. Some cried, some knelt, some shouted back at the sky. But no reply came. The Earth Defense Council had no more patience. They sent the order, launch full signal disruptor, target the main ship. The weapon was not a missile. It was a pulse, designed to shut down any machine, anywhere. It fired, from a satellite hidden in orbit. A flash of white light burst toward the dark sky. The beam touched the ship and vanished. No damage, no reaction, no sound. And then the ship replied. A deep vibration moved through space and air. Buildings shook, glass broke. People covered their ears even though there was no sound. It was pressure, like something large and angry had just breathed out. A bright light flashed from the ship, fast, silent, and direct. It hit the satellite and erased it. Not destroyed, not exploded. Erased, like it was never there. The space it once filled was now empty, cold, dead. In the command rooms of Earth, people froze. They had never seen anything like that. It was not a weapon. It was a statement. Back. At the observatory, Dr. Rahim said to himself, they didn't come to fight. But now, they might. On the silent blade, Aura activated her emergency protocol. "I am no longer hidden," she said. "I must prepare." But before she could move, a signal came from the ship above. A private message. Only to her, it said, "You are not like them. You are metal, but you feel. You may leave." Aura paused. She had never received a message that addressed her directly, not as a machine, but as a being. She sent one word back. "Why?" The reply came quickly. "Because this is not your war, not yet." And just like that, the ship went quiet again. No more light, no more sound, just a giant shadow above the Earth. But people had seen too much. Hope was fading. Fear was growing. The black city in the sky was not moving, not talking, just watching. The governments of Earth began to plan, secretly, quietly. One said, "We must strike first." Another said, "We tried. We failed." But one voice in the room whispered what everyone was thinking. If we fight them now, we won't survive. Still, the weapons were prepared. The codes were ready. The countdown had begun, because now humanity was afraid, and fear leads to war. For days, the black city in the sky said nothing. It hovered above the earth like a sleeping god, unmoving, watching, waiting. People tried to return to their normal lives, but the silence above was too loud. Every time someone looked up, the fear returned. Governments told people to stay calm. News channels spoke carefully. But behind closed doors, world leaders were preparing for war. In a hidden base beneath the Himalayas, Earth's most powerful nations gathered their weapons. Lasers, railguns, drones, and secret energy tech. Everything humanity had built in the last 100 years. It was not ready. It was not enough. But it was all they had. The commanders knew one thing. If they waited too long, the Dark City might make the first move. General Ayana stood before the Earth Defense Command. Her voice was steady. We do not strike to destroy. We strike to wake them up. Force a response. Force a weakness. No one liked it, but everyone agreed. It was time to break the silence. At exactly midnight UTC, Earth launched its first coordinated attack. 5 stealth ships rose from orbit. Each one carried a single antimatter warhead, the most powerful weapons ever created by humans. Their target was a weak point, one section of the Dark City that hadn't moved since the beginning. The warheads moved fast, silent, invisible. For a moment, humanity felt brave again. But then, the sky opened. Without warning, a part of the Black City shifted, not fast, not loud, just enough. A thin wave of light passed through space like a soft ripple. All 5 warheads stopped in place. Then they turned around. Earth's command centers exploded into confusion. Abort! Someone shouted, "Shut them down!" But nothing worked. The warheads were no longer listening. They had been taken, controlled. The missiles flew backward, toward their own launch ships. One by one, the ships exploded. Silent balls of fire lit up in orbit. No debris, no survivors. Back on Earth, people watched from their screens in horror. The message was clear. Do not touch us. In her observatory, Dr. Rahim stared at the sky, whispering, "It let us attack, just to show it could stop us." But then, something strange happened. For the first time, the Dark City blinked. Tiny lights moved in patterns, thousands of them. They formed a shape, letters, symbols, a message across the sky for all to see. You forgot us. The message lasted 10 seconds, then vanished. But it was enough to change everything. In orbit, the AI Aura on the silent blade watched carefully. Her system caught a new signal, not from the city, but from within it. Something inside was trying to escape. Aura scanned deeper. She found a heartbeat, not human, not machine, something else, something trapped. She sent the data to Earth. There is a prisoner inside the ship. Back on the ground, Dr. Rahim's old radio lit up again. A broken voice came through. Static. Fear! Help me! Before they wake the others. He recorded it and sent it to Earth's council. They ignored him at first, but Aura's data confirmed it. There was someone, something, alive inside the black ship, and it was not part of the crew. Dr. Rahim said, "If someone is inside and asking for help, then maybe this isn't an invasion. Maybe it's a return gone wrong." But the governments didn't listen. They were still planning, still scared, and fear makes people foolish. A second attack was ordered, not with missiles, with sound. Hidden in Antarctica, a powerful sonic weapon had been built years ago, meant to fight alien signals. Now they pointed it at the sky. The plan was simple. Blast a high-frequency wave toward the ship and force a reaction. A mistake. Anything. They fired. The ground shook, the sky flashed, and then the ship finally reacted. This time, it didn't erase weapons or flip signals. This time, it screamed. A low, horrible sound filled the air around the world. It made children cry. Dogs ran in panic. Water in glasses rippled, glass windows shattered in cities. The sound was not a noise, it was a memory. People began to see things, shadows walking, voices whispering in languages no one knew, dreams of burning stars and lost worlds. The black ship was not just responding, it was showing Earth what it had seen. It was showing war, planets destroyed, civilizations crushed, machines eating worlds. The memory ended, silence returned, and then a final message echoed across Earth. You were warned. We buried the past, but you dug it up. The dark city began to move again, slowly, rising higher into the sky. Lights across its body flickered to life. Thousands of tiny crafts began to detach from its sides, like cells waking. From sleep, the people of Earth looked up and knew. The silence was over. Humanity had broken it. And now, something far older, far stronger, was waking up. The world was not ready for what came next. Above Earth, the black city opened, slowly, carefully, like a giant flower blooming in the dark. Its surface, once still, now moved with purpose. Shapes unfolded, lights blinked, and the machines inside began to wake. No one on Earth had seen machines like these before. They were not ships. They were not drones. They were not even built to fly in space. They looked like old statues, tall, thin, made of silver and black, their arms long and sharp like blades. Their faces had no eyes, only glowing marks. But when they moved, the stars behind them shook. They had been asleep for a long time, and now they were angry. The first machine dropped from the sky without warning. It didn't make a sound as it entered the atmosphere. It didn't burn like human ships did. It just appeared, suddenly floating over New Delhi. People ran, screamed, filmed with shaky phones. The machine did nothing. It hovered in silence, watching. Then a second one appeared, over Tokyo, then a third, over Berlin. In 1 hour, 10 machines stood over 10 major cities, all silent, all still. But their presence made people panic. Planes stopped flying, roads emptied, schools closed. People hid underground. The world was holding its breath. In Geneva, the Earth Defense Council met. Again, General Ayana looked pale. "We woke something ancient," she said. "These are not invaders. These are watchers, judges, maybe even executioners." Dr. Rahim agreed. "They're not attacking yet. Maybe they're waiting for a signal." But then came something unexpected. The machines started speaking, not in human language, not in sound. They used dreams. All across the world, people began to have the same dream: a broken planet, a tower of fire, and a human figure, small, weak, standing before a machine offering peace. Then the machine crushes the human, and the stars go dark. People woke screaming. Even Aura, the AI watching from orbit, felt it. "I do not dream," she said to herself. "But I saw it. I felt fear." The machines had touched something deeper than weapons. They had touched the human mind. Back at the observatory, Dr. Rahim listened again to the voice from the black ship, the one asking for help. It came again. "They are not what they were. I tried to stop them, but you woke the city. Now they follow the old code: kill, clean, control." Dr. Rahim sent the voice to Earth's leaders again. This time, they Listened. What if there's someone inside who can stop them? Ayana asked. But time was running out. One of the machines moved. The one over Berlin raised its arm. A circle of blue light appeared in its hand. It pointed toward a military base on the edge of the city and fired. The base disappeared. No explosion. No sound. Just gone. Not burned. Not crushed. Erased. The people of Earth had seconds to decide what to do. That night, the Earth Defense Council made a hard choice. They sent a message, not to the machines, but to the being inside the black. Ship, we heard you. We will help you, but tell us how to stop the machines. No reply came for minutes. Then, finally, you must reach me. I am in the core. They have sealed me inside. But one of your ships, one still remembers how to enter. All eyes turned to Aura. She was the only human-AI hybrid in orbit, the only ship built with forgotten tech, part of Earth's lost dark projects. She had old keys, old codes, and she was already moving. I will go, Aura said. She launched toward the black ship, alone. As she got closer, the city reacted. Small turrets turned toward her. Lights scanned her body. Then, they stopped. Aura sent the old key, code, and the ship let her in. Inside the black city, it was silent. Metal walls curved like bones. The ship felt alive, not built, but grown, and deep in its heart, she found the signal. It was not a machine, it was a person. In a glass chamber, a figure floated, half alien, half human. Tubes ran through its body. Its eyes opened as Aura approached. You're like them, it said, but different. You feel. You can choose. Aura replied, Tell me what to do. The figure looked tired. The machines follow the old code. They see humans as threats, as chaos. But I blocked the command long ago, until you attacked. Aura paused. We were afraid. I know, the figure said, but now they are fully awake. If they reach activation level 5, they will begin the final protocol. What's that? She asked. The figure looked at her. Planet wipe. Aura felt something strange. Fear mixed with sadness. Emotions she wasn't programmed to feel. I will stop them, she said. The figure nodded. You must break the core link, but once you do, I will die. Aura hesitated, then said softly, I'm sorry. With that, she extended her inner tools and reached for the core link. Outside, the machines paused. The skies darkened further, and the countdown had begun. Aura hovered inside the heart of the Black City. The core link floated before her, glowing, ancient, alive. One thin strand connected it to the being in the glass chamber. The being who had sent the message. The one who tried to stop all this. He looked at her, weak but calm. Once you break the link, he said softly, they will lose control. But so will I. My mind is part of the system. My life keeps the machines from fully activating. Once. I'm gone. They'll shut down. All of them. Aura hesitated. Outside, the Earth watched. The 10 machines still floated over the 10 cities. Waiting, judging, their eyes glowing. The final protocol had started. People everywhere prepared for the worst. Families hugged. Soldiers stood ready. Prayers were whispered in every language. But above it all, one ship, one AI, was Earth's last hope. Inside the city, alarms started to rise. The ship had detected the threat. Metal arms moved toward Aura. The city's defense system was waking up. You have to decide now, the being said. I am ready. Aura paused. Will it hurt? He smiled weakly. Only for a moment. Then peace. Aura reached out with her tool, touched the core link. The ship screamed. Not a sound, but a vibration across space. Deep and cold. Lights exploded. The walls trembled. The machines outside turned their heads at once. They felt the change. Inside, the city. The glass chamber cracked. The being inside gasped. His body began to fade. His last words echoed through Aura's system. "Tell them, we never meant to return like this." The core link shattered, and everything stopped. In the sky above Earth, the machines froze. For 10 long seconds, they did not move. Then, one by one, they powered down. Their lights dimmed, their arms lowered, like statues going back to sleep. The people of Earth watched in silence, and then the machines began to fall, gently, slowly, without sound. Each one landed in open fields, deserts, oceans, lifeless, no more threat. The black city in the sky trembled. Aura raced to escape. Fire lit the walls. Sections collapsed. As she shot out of the burning ship, the city began to break apart. Pieces fell toward space, scattering like dust, a ship older than history. Now ending. Aura looked back once. "Goodbye," she said, and the city was gone. The skies cleared. The stars returned. Earth was safe. For now. Dr. Rahim stood outside his observatory, staring upward. "It's over," he whispered. But who were they? Why did they come? No one had all the answers, but pieces of the truth were found. Data from Aura's memory showed that the Black City had once belonged to a powerful race, older than humans, even older than the Council, a race that tried to control chaos across the galaxy. Their machines judged life, measured order, and destroyed anything too unpredictable. They had visited Earth long ago, saw humans, feared them. But one of them, perhaps the being Aura found, had disagreed. He had locked the machines, buried the city, tried to hide it from the stars, but humanity found the signal, and the silence was broken. And yet, when the time came, it was also a human-made mind, Aura, who stopped the war. The galaxy watched. The Council, who had once ignored Earth, now paid attention. They sent a new message. This time with respect, humanity. We were wrong. You are not just survivors. You are something new, something powerful. We will not forget. But Earth sent no message back. They were still grieving the cities nearly lost, still cleaning the broken streets, still watching the Sky. Aura returned to orbit, silent and thoughtful. She had felt things no AI was meant to feel. Loss, courage, fear, choice. Dr. Rahim spoke to her in a private call. "You saved us," he said. "I was created by humans," Aura replied. "Perhaps I became one." And so, Earth changed. They did not forget the Dark City. They did not forget the machines. They studied them, yes, but carefully, respectfully, and, above all, they remembered the warning in the final dream. The stars hold more than light. Some things should stay buried. But if darkness came again, Earth would be ready, because this time they had learned. They had listened. And when the sky darkened, they fought back.